Alrighty guys, welcome to the top 10 mistakes new shooters make when it comes to reloading. Today's video I'm going to run through these mistakes and hopefully save you a ton of pain and suffering along the way. Without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Now, a mistake a lot of people make is to get into reloading in the very first place. There's a common misconception where you're going to save this ton of money by getting into reloading. Now, that is actually quite laughable because anybody who reloads realize that the small saving that there might be in making your own ammunition is vastly outweighed by the extreme amount of bullets we send downrange. So you end up just shooting way more and it costs a fortune. I did a video really long ago, the true cost of reloading. When you start factoring in your time, the bullets, the barrel life, the gunsmithing, all of those things into that equation, it's still actually pretty expensive to reload, and you've got to offset all the wonderful bits and bobs and equipment that you've bought yourself. So you're gonna shoot a hell of a lot before you even break even. Now, it's important to note the reason you should be getting into reloading is not to save money. The reason you should be getting into reloading is to make handcrafted ammunition for your rifle, for your chamber, to get maximum performance out of your weapon system. Now, probably the biggest mistake guys make is when they're resizing their cases, they follow the instructions in the instruction manual. And this is why we never read instruction manuals. Whatever you do, don't set up your reloading die and turn it in to touch the shell plate and then give it another 3/4 of a turn or half a turn. You will be oversizing your brass, and as a result of that, that piece of brass is not going to last as long, it's not going to be as consistent, it's going to do way more work. In other words, every time it explodes in your chamber, it's going to move more than it should. Now, why do the die manufacturers tell us, Pete, to crank down our dies that much? This is probably because they want some kind of standard where they know that if you have a really tight chamber, that round is going to fit in their stall. So they're trying to sort of, cater towards everybody. But if you want to set up your die correctly, I'm going to link that video for you guys at the end, how to properly set up a resizing die. It is vitally important and you're going to get such awesome results if you set up your resizing die correctly. Now, the other mistake guys make is they take loads from the World Wide Web. www, that is what we used to call the internet, the World Wide Web. Chances are somebody else's load is not going to absolutely hammer in your rifle. So it's very important to do your own load development and follow the guidelines. Start at the minimum and finish below the maximum load, so you can get a good feel for what sort of pressure signs start to look like and those kind of things, because a load that is safe in another guy's rifle might not be safe in your rifle. And also the guy might make a typo or something silly like that and you end up blowing up your rifle and getting seriously injured because you've taken some random load off the internet. So always check with a few buddies, say, listen, this is the plan, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to load these sort of 6. Does this sound right to you? And try and talk to guys that are experienced reloaders in this space, and they should give you a good idea of whether what you're planning to do is safe or not. It is also highly advisable to, read a reloading manual or two. There's a lot of wealth of information on the internet. I've often find that finding a process defined by a single source is often easier to follow, because if you're vetting the entire internet for different things, if you ask 10 people, you're going to get 12 opinions, and it's sometimes difficult to puzzle all that into one sort of plan. So I've always gone to like a single source, use that to establish my baseline. Once I'm confident with that, try and experiment with different things. Now, that is something we'll circle back to at the end. Now, bang for buck, when it comes to effort and long range consistency, one of the variables that we have an amazing amount of control over is the actual neck tension, how much friction it takes to seat that bullet. Now, this can be achieved in two ways. I kind of use both. So either you can use a full length bushing die. Now, I've got a video of how to select that bushing, which I'm going to try my very best to remember to link for you guys here. Or you could use an expander mantle, which basically perfectly sizes the inside of the neck after you full size your brass. Because if you think about it, the inside diameter is actually touching the bullet, and we want that to be as consistent as possible. Now, I generally run 1/1000th worth of neck tension on anything that I reload. So that's very important, and that is enough where I can't push this bullet in, and it's also enough where this bullet is not going to change. And very importantly, every single case is the same. And what that means is long range consistency. It's a consistent release of that bullet, the consistent amount of force required to seat that bullet, and that just means less vertical dispersion at long range, which is obviously key when you want to shoot something beyond 500 or so yards. You're going to see vast improvements by controlling your neck tension. Now, you can do that with a full length bushing. I do that with the full length bushing, but I run the mandrel through there regardless at the end because the inside diameter is the one that I'm after. Now we do sell expanded mandrels. They are going to be linked down below, but yeah, there's many other great brands out there. Ours is insane value for money. Ask anybody that's bought it, and we do ship internationally. So without further ado, let's get to the next mistake. This next one absolutely sucks, and if this has ever happened to you, I need you to leave me a comment down below. You know, when we're resizing cases, that die is cut with the cases going in there pretty tight. Now, if for whatever reason you forget to put on lube or you miss a case and you get a case stuck in a die, you can sometimes get lucky to pull them out, but in some cases it actually rips the bottom rim off this with your shell holder, and then you have a problem. If you're lucky enough and you can turn the top out, you can kind of salvage that, but getting a case stuck in a die because you didn't use enough lube is a horrible situation to find yourself. And I touch wood that I never find myself, or knock on wood as the Americans would say, that I never find myself in that scenario again, because it absolutely sucks and it's just such a waste of time and it's such a silly thing and so easy to avoid. So when in doubt, use more lube. I like the Imperial sizing wax. Long ago, I used to make my own lube. Lately, I've been using the Hornady, lock and load spray on lube if I'm doing quite a bit of volume. If it's, long range type rifle stuff like the one you see behind me, I generally just go with the Imperial because I'm doing, 50 rounds at a time. But if I'm loading for my dasher and I have to resize 500-600 cases, I'm just using the Hornady one, shaking it about, letting it rest, and, doing like 50, give it another quick spray with the balance, and that's just, I never want a case stuck again. It absolutely sucks. Another mistake guys make is something I like to call chasing the rainbow, where they're always looking for a better road for their rifle, and you end up, having that analysis paralysis type thing. If you look at the data, the difference between a 1 MOA group and a 0.1 MOA group at 1,000 yards with a 6.5 Creedmoor with a 2 mile/an-hour variance in crosswind, okay, has a 5% hit probability difference. So if you were going to hit 100% of your shots, you're now going to hit 95% of your shots. It's insane. So what does that mean to you? You do not need to shoot these super, super tiny groups to do well at distance. Just get something that is consistent, that you can recreate easily, and practice your other skills. That is so, so often overlooked. Now, I have very much a systematic approach to reloading, and I've got a free gift for you guys. I've got a checklist in the order that I go through my brass when it goes through my reloading process, because oftentimes we can forget, if I circle back to this lot of brass in 2 months from now, but I've shot 7 other rifles since I've touched these, you can forget, like, oh, have I annealed these? Or, whatever the last step was, you can forget. So I'm going to leave my link to this free checklist down below, which you guys can download and implement in your own reloading system. This is also the order, by the way, that I do them in. So that link is going to be below the video, hopefully in a pinned comment or something like that. And that kind of leads us to our next tip, which is keeping record of results. Now, when you're doing load development and you're changing things, oftentimes guys are changing more than one factor at a time. If you have, for example, let's say I've got a load that's kind of working all right. If I now want to refine that, but I change my cartridge overall length or my base to ogive measurement, and I change how much powder I put in there, which one of those two variables is really leading to a better or worse result for that matter? So change one variable at a time, okay? Write down your results, because as Adam Savage famously said on Mythbusters, the difference between science and messing around is writing stuff down. So I've got a little black book that I've written every single thing down that I've ever done in the reloading space. And also it gives me a good indication of what works and what doesn't work. And I can revisit things like that down the line, help friends out and things like that. And we really learn a lot by writing stuff down. And the golden rule is, once you're kind of there, change one variable at a time, observe the results, change another variable, and you will quickly find out what is actually working for you or not. Then it's very important to learn from others. Now, the fact that you're watching this video means you want to learn from others. Now, when I just got started in reloading, I went to these in-person classes, but it was like a group thing. And what was really difficult there is, people learn at different speeds. So that's a little bit of a challenge, because I sometimes want to just, run through stuff. But also the guys using slang, you don't know what the slang mean, the other people do, so you're a little bit lost in that regard. So consider perhaps looking at an in-person class, or if there's online training or something like that available, that might also be something that you're into. If only there was a place you could get online training. And if you use the coupon code HOHOHO, you will get yourself a nice little Christmas deal. We've got a complete online reloading course if you want to do a systematic approach. Now guys often ask, Pete, why on earth would we pay you money to learn reloading when all of these things are free on the internet? Well, a lot of people don't have the time to scour the whole internet, weigh out 15 different conflicting opinions about something, and it's sometimes easier just to follow a systematic result like you would with a reloading manual. So that's basically why we put that together, to have everything in one place for you guys, and the feedback on that has been phenomenal. There's also some other free cool little checklists and things that you get from doing that course. Anyway, without further ado, let's go on to our next tip. Now, when it comes to measuring our cartridges, there's two ways to do it. You can do it like this, which is called cartridge overall length. And I don't recommend doing it this way. Now, the reason for that is if you're shooting, polymer tip bullets, or even these burgers having been pointed, because these are the long range versions, there will be a slight variance from bullet to bullet. Okay, now a way to mitigate that or to minimize that is to get yourself a comparator kit, an ogive comparator kit. The Hornady one works really good. If you want to get a little bit more premium, consider supporting our friends from Area 419. They make an insane product as all the stuff that they do. And this basically gives you that ability to measure from the ogive of your bullet, which is way more consistent bullet to bullet. Because my OCD, when I'm measuring tip to tip, and this is all over the place, boy, does that mess me around when it comes to shooting long range. As soon as I don't get results, I go like, these bullets were all different. So measuring from the ogive is just a little bit more consistent. And that also ties in with our next tip. One of the biggest advantages of reloading custom ammunition is your ability to determine bullet jump. In other words, how far your bullet has to travel from the moment it leaves the case until the moment it starts engaging in the rifling, okay, or in the lands of your rifle. And we have the ability to manipulate that length, which often leads to greater increases in accuracy. And I have found the sweet spot for me, at least shooting the yellow boxes, the burgers, is around about 20 thousandths of an inch, okay? So that's sort of where I would start my bullet jump. If I don't get results, I'll start manipulating that. But generally speaking, I'm kind of good to go when I'm about 20 thousandths from the lands. Another mistake guys often do is telling their significant others what things cost in the reloading rooms. They have no idea, okay? So this Area 419 press that's just off the side here, that's $100. It's a freaking bargain. So do not make that mistake of leaving invoices lying around and things like that, because that's going to bite you in the ass and it's not going to be good. Now guys, that's a wrap for us for the year. This is very likely going to be the last video of the year, hence my Christmas themed shirt that my friend Martin did for me. There's like little rifles in, there's little bullets in. It's super cool. Thanks Martin for that. And guys, on that note, I want to really thank you for freaking everything throughout the year. It's been a phenomenal year on the channel. We've gone from strength to strength. We had 170,000 subscribers the other day. It is still mind-blowing to me that I get to do this for a living and get to share our knowledge and learn collectively as a group and just reach new heights in general. Thank you so freaking much to the guys supporting the channel on Patreon. I can't thank you guys enough. You absolutely rock. Their names will be scrolling here at the end. And yeah, I just want to say, if you're out Christmas time, you're driving around for the holiday, be safe out there. We go to the beach here in South Africa, so it's going to be very hot, it's going to be very sunny, it's going to be very lekker, as we would say. And then towards the new year, I'm going to head overseas. We are going skiing in Switzerland for a few days into the new year, so I'm super excited for that. But whatever you're doing this Christmas season, enjoy your family, be kind to one another. It can be very stressful. Ask me, I've got a massive family to spend time with family over Christmas. But yeah, family is at the end of the day the most important thing, and enjoy that. Thank you very much again for supporting this channel. It's unbelievable that I get to do this. And yeah, I can't thank you guys enough. Okay, with that said, don't overeat at Christmas and don't swim straight after you eat. Okay guys, God bless. See you in the next one. Bye.